What is leisure? What is leisure? Leisure, let's give the exact definition. Well, the exact definition according to Google. Who knows if Google will give the exact definition of things now, right? But let's see what Google says about leisure. Leisure, leisure, leisure. Da, da, da. Free time. Use of free time for enjoyment. Let's see. Opportunity afforded by free time to do something. So, in other words, it's basically leisure will be this uh the ability to have some time to do something that is your decision, your desire, your want, and you can just do it. And no one is going to tell you, hey, you can't do that because you have to go and take time to do this instead. It's literally the ability to essentially just uh, live and do something that is not necessarily like a task. It's or at least a task that you're being commanded, demanded to do it by someone else. It's interesting when we find that, like, because nowadays, if you look at um, philosophers, even, or I mean, yeah, philosophers, even, let's put it that way. But to a certain extent, these things have become sort of like um, like a career or like um, a something to pursue, something to chase, like something to have s- time designated, or where you use now your philosophy, your well, more like the space that you use to try to philosophize or to study philosophy is now a space that is maybe considered a task or a or work that you have to do. But it's interesting when you look back in the history and you realize that those people, the great thinkers from ancient Greek and stuff, they were able to come up with different ways of viewing different parts of life simply because they had enough leisure. They had slaves that would do the jobs that they didn't want to do while they focus on thinking, coming up with different ideas, different theories, different um, just different ways of viewing the world and stuff like that. But most of those people that were thinkers back in the day, they were thinkers because they had the time to do so. Their time was not occupied by having to go to work so they can pay their bills. Let me see. Uh, Sorry, my bad. I just live chat. Did I not put the live chat here? Okay, it should be on now. Welcome to live chat. Okay, but so back in the day, it's like those people were able to think and they could take hours and hours and hours. I mean, imagine how hard it must be to come up with some concepts or ideas that some of the great thinkers back in the day would think about, um, like the amount of time that it would take for you to orchestrate a whole even debate, or because sometimes you're debating someone else on their ideas, for you to go and take the time to study someone else's idea and then come and try to rebuttal it, or sort of what's the word, debunk their particular idea. You can't say you have a full-time job, or like full-time job, two plus jobs or whatever, because you're trying to pay the bills, and on top of that you're going to take the time to become like to do the kind of work that those philosophers did back in the day. No, that was possible because of leisure. That was possible for a lot of them because they had the time to do so. Nowadays we don't have the time to like, honestly, if you notice, leisure, that word is rarely even used like amongst us people. Hi, Kristen. That word itself, leisure, is used very, very not so frequently, and it makes me, it makes me feel sometimes like, and some people might not agree with this, because they some people think that even though you have one job, two jobs, three jobs, whatever, you should still be able to take the time to think about all these kinds of things. However, it doesn't always work that way, especially when you like, honestly, philosophy is not an easy subject. I'm still I'm a learner of philosophy, and it's not easy. So sometimes you might not even be in the right headspace to say, I'm gonna go and read the Republic. Like, you have to be without, or it helps at least a lot, by the way, to be without these mosquitoes flying around your head trying to take your attention, because you forgot to pay the bill, so now you got to call the insurance company and stuff. So now you're on the phone for about 30 minutes trying to pay a freaking bill or something like that, right? It's like, you don't, you having these types of things around, floating around. If anything, when you come into the space of thinking, or of philosophizing, or if of studying a philosopher's ideas and stuff like that, you want to have a lot of focus. It's not easy to follow threads when something can always come and just fly into your head, and now the idea that you were thinking just is gone. It's maybe missing, or you forgot it now, or like like it can throw you off, especially. So here's one thing, right? For some time I would be just extreme. I mean, sometimes I still have that, but I noticed at one point that the more busy you are, the less bandwidth, to put it that way, you have in your brain, in your mind, to be able to fully grasp everything that is going on. And it's when you even have situations like you run to the room because you were supposed to get something, and then you're looking around the room like, what was I gonna get? At that point, your mind is being too flooded with all these other things that you're supposed to be thinking about. So it's like things just come into your brain and they make you snap out of the thing that you were focused on, right? And one that's one, actually, that's one key for me. When I like, this is one sign to me that, okay, I need to chill, I need to relax, because I got way too much going on. If I am missing, or if I need to go, if I need to get something, I run to that place, and then I'm already wondering, what the heck was I gonna get here? That usually becomes a sign to me to start looking at my life and say, holy crap, maybe I got way too much in my head, and it just so happens that when you have a lot, when you have too many plates floating in the air, you're just not gonna catch them all. So sometimes you have a bunch of thoughts in your head. You're not going to be able to get a hold of all your thoughts. So sometimes you're going to have thoughts that come in, and they bump the one that you were focused on to the side. It's and apparently it's just your ability to your inability to be able to hold so many thoughts all at once. I mean, we can't really, can we try to think of two thoughts at once? Are we able to think of two different things at once? I don't think so. Like, every time that you try to think of the other thing will be not the thing that you're thinking about, because you're focusing on one thing, you see. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard sometimes. But anyways, that's like a once I walk to a room and I forgot what I was looking for, that's a sign that I'm too busy and I need more leisure. I need more leisure. But look, that's so I'm working on something. It's called First We Live. And the reason why is because we have forgotten that we actually live, like that we're alive. We seem to think or to feel that we just have to produce. We seem like we just have to find the next thing to do in order to make some money. Uh, this guy, wait, hold on. Please, guys, keep the comments chill. We don't have to be immature and whatnot. Um, but it seems like we've forgotten. Well, and I mean, over the years, when for people the main thing was, hey, we need to have freedom, we need to have leisure, right? Like in the ancient Greece, that leisure was like a high point in society. Like those people that had leisure, it's like leisure is where it's at or where it was at, you know. I don't know. Well, maybe you can't really say where it went wrong because it's been a gradual change over the different centuries and different laws that obviously in the later times came to play and stuff where work became a certain way and all these types of things, right? Which certain things it's definitely good that we moved from, like for example, it's good that we moved from slavery, right? Because slavery is one thing that gave a lot of those people leisure and the ability to be able to think. I mean, if we look at Aristotle, he actually said that some people were born to be slaves, like you were born and your role as a human was to be a slave. Other people's roles were to be the owners or of the slaves or to be at the top, and they don't have to, like, it's like their position, and slaves were actually, it was their position according to Aristotle, or like the way he thought of it. So to them it's like slaves is not a bad thing, it's what they're born for. But the good thing for them was to have leisure, to be able to have that freedom, that free time. They would value life immensely. But now it seems like our focus is definitely more acquiring something, getting to the next thing, paying the next bill, paying the next month's rent. And over time, this idea of leisure keeps fading and fading more and more away. We have become definitely a society more of production and work than thinking about our personal lives, like our individual lives, and say, I want to live. Like I want to actually live. I want to. I was I was fine. I was watching a video the other day. It was a like one of those funny little cartoon videos, but definitely very accurate. And it talks about basically what the heck is going on nowadays with the fact that you can work like this, you can work that much, and still you cannot afford to live. Like not afford to. This video wasn't even talking about I can't afford to get the next vehicle, or I can't afford to get the to buy a 2-story 4-bedroom house. It's like it's literally talking about I can't afford to live, like to live. That's different because in order for you to be able to afford to live, that means you are able to afford having leisure, having time, having free time to be able to dispose of your lifetime however you so please to do so. Now you can work, but the amount of time that you're going to have is very little. A bigger portion of our time is spent at work than living. A bigger portion of our time is spent producing than, like, for a lot of people, for a lot of companies, it's like we need to come up with the next phone, so they hire a bunch of people, and it's like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And you go, you get your check, you are left with a couple of days of free time, if any, because nowadays you might need to get two jobs in order to afford something. So this idea of actually having leisure time is freaking fading. I don't understand. We don't even talk about it enough. Like how many people I actually hear on like on a regular basis, or here and there tell me something about leisure, or that they have free time like that. I don't hear it. I don't hear it. And I feel like I cross enough people uh, to say I would hear this thing more if it was an actual focus of society. Like if the focus of society was to say, hey, let's find a way to make things work in such a way so that people can actually have leisure, or so that people can actually live. It would, like, if the focus was that, honestly, we could. It could be done. The amount of money that fluctuates throughout the planet, throughout Earth, it's immense. I mean, we're talking about quantities. We're talking about an amount of money that circulates the Earth that is even hard to fathom as a human being. How much money that really is. Yet, for some reason, this shit, this boat, instead of trying to hold, like, it's not even holding itself up. It's actually sinking. It's getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know if y'all. By the way, today I wasn't even gonna go live, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna use my leisure time to go live because I like it, and this is nice to me, if anything. But the boat is sinking. This is going worse and worse. If you guys have seen Ready Player One, Ready Player One is a movie that makes me sometimes feel like we're not even that far from it. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Ready Player One. It's a really really good movie that has to do with virtual reality, but it talks about there's a the idea of what is called monopoly, the monopoly. And if you look in this movie Ready Player One, there has been one company that sort of monopolized like a whole industry. And then the virtual reality comes to be, and it's very, very well set and all that stuff. I mean, it's not like what you see in the metaverse today. It's wonderful, right? In Ready Player One. And what this company is trying to do is, and sorry if there are spoilers, but this company is trying to take over the digital world. They have monopolized the physical world. Sorry about that. They got somewhere to be. Um, but they have monopolized the physical world, and now they feel that they have to now monopolize or take over the digital world. They have to own the digital world as well. If you look at what's going on, more and more and more monopolization is happening. And in the future, if you look at it, this unless things start to be done differently, we are definitely going to have like those two or those three or four or five companies in the entire world that run this stuff. And what do you think they're going to do if their focus is on produce, 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 produce? It's not like they're going to help people have better lives or have better time with their family or with their kids or whatnot. No. This is getting worse. The boat is not going to start flying off the sea. It's going to sink into the sea until we just hop onto another boat, maybe. Switch the way we're doing things. Sometimes I really wonder, um, how is it that, because I mean, to some people, this is obvious. This is so obvious. And I still don't quite understand why is it that we choose to not do things better. There's I live in Washington State, in I think it's called San Juan Islands. San Juan Islands in Washington State, apparently they were working last year on something that will make it so that basically you work 4 days. You work 4 days only. You don't. It's not like you do 10, four tens. You do 4 8s. You don't have. They're literally removing one day of work. You only work 4 days a week, and what they're gonna do is they're still gonna pay you what you would make in those 4 days, which is, it's a step forward. And if anything, I saw a study that was done by the 4 Day Work Week. I will 4 Day Work Week Global is the name of the company. They made a study with different companies throughout the world, and they found much better results in the companies that, so when they implemented this program to their companies, where they started working 4 8s rather than 5 8s and rather than 4 10s, right? Like, they actually give them a bigger break within of like, they give them more free time essentially. But they decided, we're still going to pay you the same even though you're working less. You're going to work 1 day less, but we're going to pay you still that extra day that you would normally work. I don't like, the reality is that these companies ended up doing pretty good, fairly well, uh, when they did this. Some maybe got some gains. Some of them were reported that they got up to 30% more on their profits. Some of them may be less, like 3%, 4%. But the point remains that we could work less and still make this world function. So why are we not doing it? Why? Is there something that we could do as like regular citizens to no, there should. I mean, you could start. Yeah, yeah. You know, we as a I must say it like this, but we as basic citizens, we need to realize that there's some power in us to start to change certain things. It's not, um it would have to be a collective effort. And that's where maybe things start to break down, because is everyone, are all the citizens that are feeling a certain way about these companies going to be willing to say, you know what would happen if, like, a whole nation stopped buying from a particular company, and they there's reasons why they stop buying from these companies, or there's reasons why they, like, that as a collective, us citizens say we are going to join, and the power as a collective is too huge for a government to maybe say, no, we're just gonna waive this off because they're just basic people. They're just the 9 to 5 people. I mean, what are they gonna do? But in reality, like, humans, even people like me, people that are not in power in the government or in power with a particular company, there's some things we could do. I mean, one good example is this is actually one good example. One good example that shows that we have more power than we think is what's going on in United States with the elections and crypto. So the crypto market, get this, the you have Joe Biden saying no to crypto. You have Donald Trump saying yes to crypto. Now, I'm not either for Joe Biden or for Donald Trump. If I could, I would freaking roll the dice and have some, like, just, I don't know, like, maybe anybody is better than these two people. Okay, that's an overstatement. I know I'm not, but my point is I'm not for either of them. But if you see something that what they're doing now is because in the United States, there's a lot of people that hold crypto. Excuse me. There's a lot of people that hold crypto. And when the elections come, and which we're already, near them, we already had a debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But they want to win the votes. They want to win the election. And Donald Trump kind of realized there's a lot of people who own Bitcoin in the United States or who own crypto in the United States. For Donald Trump, he's thinking, hey, if I appeal to them, then that means I can get their vote. Honestly, I'm not voting for either of them. Like honestly, this freaking thing can just I don't know. I don't know. I really I feel like I can't really vote for either of them. But here's the funny thing. They are essentially following or they are doing this because they see that these humans who own crypto have some power and some say. You like as a citizen, there are certain things you are able to do that will push certain people in the government or certain people in a particular company, but obviously it has to be well thought out, But my point is there are certain things that could be done that can help these people shift the narrative to a different way. And the thing is that we have to start thinking about our lives differently. We need to start thinking of our lives rather than producing or rather than working for the next thing. We need to shift the narrative and say, okay, we don't want to be, we don't just want to be uh, a world or a society that just works to build the next thing, works to pay the next thing, but that our focus from now on literally becomes that we work in order to live. In order to live. In order to live. That becomes the focus. That you work in order to live. Why? Let me tell you something. When you were born, were you working? No. You were first alive. You were first born. Then you were thrown into the production world and, hey, grab a hammer and start hammering, right? But you first are a living thing, not a production thing. You're a living thing. So why does it not make sense to make living our focus? Those people on top, those people, the people essentially running the show, they're not focused on living as a society, like for all of society to essentially live. They're focused on their living. They're focused on their living, and the more they produce, the better they live, right? And not even the more they produce, the more they buy or they rent people's bodies in order for those bodies to produce for them. They go to people. They don't even do it themselves. And their leisure, man, their leisure will be like things that for regular human is you can't even imagine. Honestly, I lived in a family that they don't even believe in traveling to other parts of the world, to put it that way. In my family, they don't believe in like doing something big with your life. They don't have these beliefs. But for for these people that that own these companies or these people that make the laws in a particular government, the idea of the individuals outside becomes too vague. Too, they can't even point out who's who like that. They're so disconnected. They're so disconnected from the reality of particular individuals, to the point that they might think about it, but they don't feel that empathy for that person down there anymore. Like they don't feel it like that. You know, if anything, they might just tell you, hey, you know, strap up your boots and you better get to it. You know, or like I heard at work so many times, just keep your head down and keep working. Like, what? Keep your head down? It's like, the idea is like, keep your head up, bro. Like, yeah, honestly. But look, this idea of leisure, we don't have it anymore. And a good indicator that we're screwing this up is the simple fact that you don't hear people talk about leisure like that. No, rarely. But check how often work or bills or inflation or um, or two jobs. Like, in fact, the idea of two jobs, that idea gets mentioned a lot more than the word leisure. That's one good indicator that we're screwing this up. It's leisure where it's at. It's leisure that in ancient times they adored, they cherished, and it was viewed as um, as an ultimate thing to be able to have, because then you could live, then you could take time to think and come up with different ways that you can figure out to live better, make decisions in your life, right? um, and or even how to orchestrate, how to better function in a society. They had to have leisure. They had to have leisure. And nowadays, we need a lot more leisure. A lot more. Um, yeah. That, well, I've gone for 32 minutes already, but that, that's mainly what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to talk about it because I haven't had leisure lately. I haven't had much free time like that to do certain things because right now, well, I'm in the middle of trying to find a new place to move to, a new apartment, and so I've had to dedicate some time to looking into that, going into checking some places and making different calls and all these other things on top of the like life stuff that you have to attend with family and stuff. But you know, I haven't had much leisure, and I felt that it was important to make a video speaking about it because it's a when it was such a cherished thing before, it's important that we realize that it should still be a cherished thing, and not only just a cherished thing, but something that you actually try to work towards, not just individually, but that maybe we try to do this as a society so that more people can have leisure. I think as humans, we deserve that. We we deserve to have our free time, our time to do literally whatever we want with it. So it's hard. It's hard. I know nowadays it's hard because the reality is, even when pushing these kinds of ideas, the chances of something like this becoming actually set in place and then it becomes a normal thing, given how many years it's taken to screw all of this up in order to change society to make it so that we try to focus on living more than producing, we might, whoops, drop the cup. We might not see that day. Us. We might not see that day. We might see little implementations of it. But I don't know. You'd think that with the robots coming up, there would be a better chance of us humans being able to regain our lives, right? If we're able to have machines doing the job for us, we can focus on our living part of things. But the reality is that the robots are being used for the companies to to save more money and pay less people. That way they make more money, their profits are bigger. It's the focus is screwed up. I'll leave you guys with that. Honestly, I'm glad that I came up here. I feel better definitely after doing this because I've been trying to, and it's the fourth. Wait, is it the fourth? Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting confused. Like, it's the fourth, and I'm not like we don't really got anything going on. We're just gonna make dinner, and I don't got fireworks, so we're gonna look at other people waste their money while we enjoy the things popping up in the air. I'll see you guys on the next live. Take care.